patients from our area Children's Miracle Network Hospital, Mercy Children's Hospital, came and spent an hour answering our family's questions and trying to set our fears at bay. She told us about the care that the boys might receive depending on exactly when they were born. I will never forget her patience with me during one of the scariest days of my life. Finally, my doctors decided it wasn't worth the risk to continue the pregnancy, so we scheduled my C-section for the next day. On September 14th, 2007, exactly 6 weeks prematurely, Robert was born at 7:44 a.m., weighing 4 pounds, 4.5 ounces. And after making his perfect presence known with a beautiful cry, he was immediately whisked away by the NICU staff to check to see how he was doing. Next came Lyndon at 7:46, weighing 4 pounds, 10.5 ounces, and we heard no cry. Everything was going so fast and loud. There were 24 people in the operating room, quite a show. And although I must have asked what was happening about 100 times, it was pretty much impossible to get somebody to tell me what was going on right away. Finally, I learned Lyndon wasn't breathing and had been intubated. I was so scared, but everyone kept telling me things were going to be fine, he was in good care. Once they had him stabilized, while they manually filled his lungs with the air, he wasn't able to breathe on his own. They placed him in an incubator and laid Robert on top of him, so they were flesh to flesh. That was one of the most powerful images I have from that day. The nurses told me that multiple babies tended to fight a little bit harder when they were with their womb mates. So then we waited and waited and waited some more. And as it turned out, Lyndon and Robert both eventually needed to be put on ventilators and were given surfactant, which is like a miracle drug for preemies. Lyndon was breathing room air with only a nasal cannula that first day, but Robert took longer. I wasn't able to hold him until he made progress off the ventilator and was stabilized on a CPAP. So I remember how scary it was not to be able to hold him for the first few days of his life, and then when I did, it was with tubes and wires connected. And but we knew, looking around at our fellow NICU parents, that it could have been a lot worse. So about a week after they were born, they were finally moved into an open crib together. Then they needed to learn to suck, swallow, and breathe at the same time, which was difficult for them at the time. So after 3.5 weeks in the NICU, they came home, and we were thrilled and terrified all at once. Every day of their stay at Mercy Children's Hospital, we were in awe of the doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, dietitians, all of the other incredible people who cared for them. Our babies literally would not have survived without them. And the compassion that everyone extended to us during their NICU stay and through this day is truly amazing. Not once did Gus, who answered most of my phone calls, get bothered hearing from me in the middle of the night when I wasn't at the NICU. I'm still in touch with Kelly and Paula, 2 of the nurses who cared for them. After a wonderful NICU experience, Lyndon also received care through pediatric urology physicians, which was affiliated with Mercy Children's Hospital because he had hydronephrosis. And when he was 3, he had surgery to correct the problems with his bladder and kidneys. So Lyndon and his stuffed tiger had surgery, and Dr. Kropp was able to resolve those issues. So he's doing great. Now they're 7 years old. They're young graduates of BGSU as they went to preschool here on campus at the CDC. And they're hopeful future Falcons, although we haven't yet narrowed down majors. They're the proud big brothers of another set of twins, Molly and Emmett, who are now 3 years old and thankfully had none of the same complications that Lyndon and Robert did. I know, right? Yes. 2 sets of twins. Robert is smart. He's in charge, or at least his baby sister Molly lets him think he is. He loves to bake with my mom. He has the cutest dimple. He's an avid reader, and he has some killer dance moves, which you all get to see at Dance Marathon. Lyndon is such a character. He makes faces that would make your Snapchat friends jealous. He can already draw far better than I can. He's an emotional little guy who loves endlessly. He's been obsessed with bats for as long as I can remember, and he tells the funniest jokes sometimes. Thankfully now they show no signs of their prematurity. So this is our story. I hope that it helps you to understand what an amazing thing you're doing by supporting and participating in Ziggy-thon. The Children's Miracle Network supports research, training, the purchase of equipment, and so much more, specifically in our area to provide autism, hippotherapy, child life, and palliative care services to miracles across Northwest Ohio. We can't wait for Ziggy-thon. Like many of you, this year I'm going to be there on my feet as a dancer for the full 32 hours. That they can stay the full time, so fingers crossed for that one. But we are so grateful for our miracles every day, and I'm honored to be here tonight. Thank you. To make sure that you know that you're helping children like mine receive the best care possible through the Children's Miracle Network. After all, it is for the kids, so thank you.